So a lot of my content is really positive, and I sometimes get some comments from some people who are having a very negative life experience who disagree with what I'm saying, and I totally appreciate that because it can be like that when life starts to get really hectic and potentially you've been experiencing depression most of your life and you start to gather lots of evidence from the universe suggesting and reinforcing these negative beliefs that you have. For example, one guy was saying that, he gets like hate mail from people, from strangers, and it just feels like life is just coming at him all the time. And like he's had that for a long time. And so he feels like exempt from the positivity that I'm trying to express. And I totally get it because I have had similar situations, maybe not for quite as long, but where I was attracting things that were reinforcing these negative beliefs that I had about myself. I'm sure we've all had that thought, like nobody likes me, nobody values me, and things like that. And it just takes one person to act in a certain way that reinforces that makes you just be like, see, they don't. And then every time that you do that, you actually make that stronger and more likely to happen again and again and again. And that is law of attraction for you. It is literally giving you more and more and more of whatever it is you're focused on. And why that is important to remember is because if things are going, that's why things go from bad to worse. Because if something uncomfortable happens in your experience and you give it your attention, then literally you are creating more of what you were giving your attention to. And so that is the actual most challenging part about what this business of creating your reality is. It's about turning your attention away from what has currently manifested that you are not enjoying. That's key, because you can definitely give a lot of attention to the things in your life that you are enjoying. But what happens is if somebody hasn't been practicing any positivity for a very long time, then most of their life experience is going to be unpleasant, and that's just where they're at that point in time. But I replied to the person who left a comment because I have a lot of compassion for that. Like, I understand, like, it's really challenging to pull yourself out of that, but it is incredibly possible, like so possible, you have no idea. And it doesn't have to take a lifetime to undo that. It would just take for like 3 weeks to 30 days to completely turn that around. And I did share a process about something that I used a few years ago when I felt like everything was just going terrible. My health and relationships and everything, and it was just a shit show. It was awful. And it was getting worse. And I was noticing it was getting worse. But I had a hold of these teachings of law of attraction, and I knew that if I could just focus on even the smallest positive thing in my day and give that more of my attention than I was giving to everything else, that I would be able to turn the ship around and get it flowing in a direction that was pleasing rather than uncomfortable. And I knew that it's kind of like when you're driving, really, like wherever you're pointed, and however much focus and attention you are giving something is like putting the accelerator on. So make it like where you are focused is where you're driving, and the more that you focus on it and the more attention you give it, you're going faster and faster towards that thing. So the idea is you've got to look at something else and get some momentum going in a different direction rather than trying to slow this down because you're still looking at it. You need to look somewhere else. You need to look at a different perspective to be able to pull yourself out of these dark spots, because if you don't do that, you will make it worse, and you will start to believe that that's all that's possible. And that's sort of the feeling that I was getting from this comment, saying that, it's literally like magical almost how much bad things happen to me. And I can see that because law of attraction is magical, especially if you get it working in the way that you want it to. You feel like the most blessed person on the planet because it has the ability to provide to you whatever it is that you are believing. And every time evidence comes to you that that people don't like you, or I don't know, whatever negative belief you've got going on, the more that it happens in your experience, the more that you really start to believe that it has something to do with your worth. But it's nothing to do with that. It's just law of attraction taking place. It's an indicator of where you've been focused. Whatever is manifested in your current life right now is an indicator of where your chronic focus has been. So have a look at your life and be like, all right, what is it showing me? Is it mostly positive or mostly negative? And that is your screenshot, basically, of exactly where you have been focusing and how. And so you can just take it as an indicator, not an indicator of your worth, an indicator of where you have been focused, because you are worthy or you wouldn't be here, because creation doesn't make mistakes. You are not a mistake. You are meant to be here, and your birthright is freedom and joy and growth. And so you need to remember that and not take every negative thing that happens to you as an indicator of your worth. It is just an indicator of your focus, and you have the ability to change your focus. Now, you may not jump from here to here in a few days, but you could in a few weeks, or you might get there in a few days. It doesn't have to take a long time. It just has to take focus, and to ignore and let go of all the crap shit that's happening to you. Just let it go and focus on something else. And you can do this in lots of different ways. That list of positive aspects at the end of the day is really good. I remember I was like even just writing down I had vitamin C today. I went for a walk. And I wasn't doing a lot of positive things for myself at the time. So I slowly built that up, because when I saw the positive things on a list during the day, the next day, I would try and add another little positive thing. And just slowly, I started doing more things that I could add to my list, because I realized that just that small list was actually making me feel better. Because I'm like, oh, okay, that was good, and that was good, and that's good. And it might feel pretty flat at first, but then you start adding to this list, and then you start to actually really enjoy it. And I was starting to write down every little thing that I did good. I'm like, I had like 8 glasses of water today, and I had vitamin C, and I went for a walk, and then I went for a swim, and that was something I wouldn't do normally because I was so depressed. And so you can slowly start to build momentum in a different direction. It just takes focus, and you've got to distract yourself from the idle thinking, because you don't have to be thinking about everything that's going wrong in your life all the time. But we can tend to do that because that's what we're focused on, and it's very normal for you to look at something and to think about it, right? Like it's just pretty hard not to think about something when you're staring at it. So if you are in that situation where everything is just shit and you hate it, you're gonna have to do something to get your focus somewhere else, at least part of the time, until you can start building more momentum in that direction. And think as little as possible about all the crap things that are happening, and do not attach your worth to the bad things that are happening in your life. You are so worthy that you have the ability to use this device, this law of the universe, to your advantage. It is there for your advantage, but with every negative, there's a positive. And so just because you've been given a car, you can ride that car on a big, beautiful highway across the beach, or you can ride it into a ditch, and you have the ability to choose. And just because you're in a ditch doesn't mean you can't get out and drive somewhere beautiful. You have that ability. You just have to believe that you have the ability, because if you don't accept that you can create something different, you will never create something different. It is law. You have to believe that it's first possible, and then actually take the action to get it going. So if that means that before you even do anything, you start just pondering that idea, maybe it is possible. Maybe I could change direction. Just start pondering that thought to start off with, because you need to soften that belief. You need to like mold it into a different belief and make it so that it's something that you want to see come to pass. Because if you believe that nothing's ever going to change and life is always going to be really hard for you, it's going to be that way. You have to think. You use your mind, use your emotions. Your emotions are telling you whether what you are looking at right now is in alignment with your inner being or not. Because if you're feeling ecstasy and joy, there's no doubt in your mind that what's going on in that moment is a good thing, right? And that it feels right. But if you're feeling terror and fear, it feels wrong, right? Like it feels like there's something I'm looking at here that my inner being isn't seeing it this way, because your inner being always knows how powerful you are and always knows how capable you are and what is available to you. That's why they don't agree with you, because they're like, I don't see you as weak. I don't see you as invaluable. I don't see you as worthless. That's why I'm not joining you in that agreement. I'm not going to see you through those eyes. And that's why you feel so shitty when you feel negative emotion, because your inner being is here solid all the time. And as soon as you start to see yourself in any sort of different way than your inner being is, you're pulling yourself away from that light. They never move. You're getting further away. And that's why there's degrees of negative emotion, because if you're just a little bit off kilter, you still feel pretty good, but you could be better. And that's when you feel those ecstasy and enjoy moments where you're in love with yourself and life. That is when you are one with your inner being. But when you feel anything less than that, you're just getting a little bit further away. But you can, all it takes is you just letting go of that belief, because if you believe it, like, it's just, yeah, you've just got to mold those belief systems, because they are everything. They are your blueprint, that it overruns your entire life. And unless you know that you have a belief running in the background that is not serving you, it's quite hard to change it. So you need to listen to your emotions and mold your focus onto things that will generate positive emotions. And your focus isn't just on objects or people, it's also perspectives, because finding a perspective on any subject that feels good to you is how you start to see the world more and more like your inner being. That's the goal. You want to feel whole. You want to feel like your whole self as much as you possibly can. So you can change any belief that you have. It is absolutely possible. And a book recommendation that I have is a book that I first read when I was getting into this whole thing. And it was a book by Joe Dispenza, who is an incredible neuroscientist who healed his back from, like, it was just broken in so many different places, and he healed it through his mind. Like, he meditated and he didn't even have to get surgery. But he created a book. It's called You Are the Placebo, and it's a wonderful book. Anyone would be interested to hear it, because it's very interesting about how powerful your mind is and how you don't actually have to have anything physically different happening to see a different physical result. Like, you can actually control lots of stuff through your mind. So I recommend that book for anyone who is battling with this idea of belief systems and whether that actually has any effect on your outside outcome, because it absolutely does. You can absolutely have it all, and you don't have to live in despair for your whole life. Take a hold of your mind and remember your worth. If you're alive, you're worthy. If you're created at all, you're worthy. Remember that.